Hello and welcome back to this series, Happier Ever After. This is our final episode in this series, and today we're talking about what ever after really means. Not in a fairy tale sense, not in a happy ending way, and not as a promise that life becomes easy again, but as a way of living forward after loss with honesty, integrity, and choice. If the phrase ever after feels uncomfortable to you, I understand why. After loss, especially the death of a partner, endings don't feel neat. They don't resolve, they don't tie themselves up. And so the idea of an ever after can feel unrealistic or even offensive. So let's reframe it. Ever after in this context does not mean everything is okay now. It means life continues. And the question becomes not how do I get back to what was, how do I live forward with what is? That is a very different question. One of the most painful misconceptions about grief is the idea that healing means letting go of love, as though the only way forward is to leave the past behind. But for most people, that doesn't feel right. Love doesn't disappear when someone dies, connection doesn't vanish. What changes is the form it takes. Living forward after loss is not about severing ties with the past. It's about learning how to carry love without being trapped in pain. And that takes time. Many people fear that if they stop hurting so much, it means something precious has been lost. That the pain is proof of love, that suffering is loyalty. If that belief has been part of your experience, you're not alone. I want to gently say this. Pain is not the container for love. Love is the container. Pain is what happens when love has nowhere to go. Living forward after loss is about allowing love to move, to find expression rather than keeping it frozen in the moment of loss. That doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean minimizing what you've shared. And it doesn't mean choosing happiness over grief. It means allowing your relationship with your loved one to evolve, to become something that supports your life rather than constrains it. Another important part of living forward is letting go of the idea that there is a correct version of life after loss. There is no standard template, no set milestones, no correct timeline, no right way to do it. And yet, many people feel pressure to live according to expectations, their own or others. Pressure to be brave, pressure to be strong, pressure to make something out of what's happened. Living forward does not mean performing recovery. It means choosing a life that actually works for you now. And that choice may look very different from what you imagined before. After loss, your capacity changes, your priorities shift, your tolerance for certain things decreases, your need for meaning, rest, or simplicity may increase. Living forward means respecting those changes rather than fighting them. It means allowing yourself to say, this is who I am now. This is what I can offer. This is what I need. And that can feel confronting, especially if you're used to pushing yourself, meeting expectations, or you're used to living in service of others. But honoring your reality is not selfish. it's necessary. Another fear that often shows up at this stage is the fear of choosing wrong. What if I build a life I later regret? What if I move forward too soon? What if I stay where I am for too long? These fears make sense. Loss has already shown you how little control you have. So hesitation can feel safer than choice. But living forward does not require certainty. It requires responsiveness. It's not about making permanent decisions. It's about making honest ones based on who you are today. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to adjust. You're allowed to try things and let them go. You're allowed to make mistakes. Living forward is not a single leap. It's a series of small, ongoing choices. Another thing I want to say clearly here is this. Living forward does not mean leaving grief behind. Grief will always be a part of your story, but it does not need to dominate every chapter. Over time, many people find that grief becomes less consuming, not because they cared less, but because life grew around it. The love remains, the loss remains, but they no longer define every moment. That is not betrayal. That is adaptation, and adaptation is what humans are wired for. I also want to speak to permission because so many people are waiting for it. Permission to rest, permission to enjoy life, permission to want something different, permission to choose themselves. If no one has said this to you clearly, let me say this to you now. You are allowed to choose a life that works now, not the life you planned before, not the life others expect, not the life that looks good from the outside, but a life that fits your capacity, your values, your truth. You do not need to earn this permission. You do not need to justify it. You have already been through something that changed you. Living forward is not about being fearless. It's about being honest. It's about recognizing that staying frozen in pain does not honor love. It only prolongs suffering. Carrying love forward means allowing it to inform how you live, not confine how you live. It means letting love shape your compassion, your choices, your boundaries. It means allowing yourself to experience moments of peace without guilt, moments of joy without apology, moments of connection without fear that they erase what came before. They don't. Nothing can erase what you shared. Another thing I want to name here is that living forward doesn't always feel good. It can feel lonely. It can feel uncertain. It can feel like standing apart from people who haven't lived this. And that can be painful. But it can also be quietly grounding because living forward is about alignment, about living in a way that feels internally coherent, even if it doesn't make sense to others. As we come to the end of this series, I want to acknowledge something important. If you've listened to these episodes and recognized yourself, your confusion, your exhaustion, your courage, that matters. It means you're not alone. And it means what you're experiencing is human. There is no finish line here, no moment where grief ends and life begins. There is only living with honesty, compassion, and choice. And that is your ever after. not perfect, not painless, but real. If, as you're listening to this, you feel the emotion rising, sadness, relief, fear, or even hope, pause for a moment. Notice your body, your breath. Notice that you're still here. Living forward after loss does not mean forgetting. It means remembering and still choosing to live. If you'd like continued support as you move forward, you can explore the Happier Ever After hub, happiercoach.com/happier ever after. You don't need to rush. You don't need to get it right. You are allowed to live in a way that honors both love and life. And if you ever want a cuppa and a chat, then feel free to reach out. Thank you for trusting me with this journey. Thank you for being here. This has been Happya Ever After.